Welcome back, everybody. In this episode, we're going to be doing the installation of the convertible top on this 1984 Porsche 911.
Okay, just about finished the repainting of the car, and so now we're going to install the top, and I'm going to be doing this inside my warm garage here. Might wonder why I've got some trees in here right now, because it's absolutely freezing outside. So the top kit that we have basically comes in two pieces. There's the main top, which goes over this portion here, and then there is the rear portion, which is mostly the rear window, and then it comes with couple of pieces of material here as well, the vinyl. And so I've got the clamp here, and I'm just laid it on there, and so really there's three little brackets there, and that's how it goes on to it's held down like that, and that is what basically holds the top down from here all the way around to there. That's what keeps that held down good and taut. Now we have this little stud here that sticks up, and that needs to go in there like so. So that is how that will go on. So the first step is we're going to be basically putting this into the top material that's over on the workbench. Okay, so we're gonna start with working on the rear window section, and we're gonna start with basically reinstalling all of the little bits that go into it, putting them back in. So for now, we're gonna be focused on this back panel. It has this large vinyl covered piece here. I believe this is called the clamp. It's got a rubber seal, and then it's got three pieces of a bracket, I suppose, clamping that goes onto that. So we're going to reinstall that into this, which means we're gonna have to cut little holes here and so on to put it back into there. Okay, so for the first thing is we basically put our clamp, and we shove it under the little flap here. So to get started, I've basically centered it, and then I've punctured two holes, one at a time, for each of these first starter studs here, using the X-Acto knife. And I'm wanting them to be kind of, with no slack on this end here. That stitch line should just go right up against the metal there. And we do that also for this side, so that when we glue these down and then clamp them down, there's no slack in here.
And on this step, I would recommend pulling in the fabric a bit farther than you would think that you would need to, as you'll see later on in the video when we start the big stretch. The stretching of the top tends to pull this part out, and you get the flap sticking up a little bit. So you'll want to try to pull this material in a bit more than you think that you'll need it to land at finally. Now that we've got our holes punched, we're going to start to glue this stuff down. I'm going to be using 3M Super Trim adhesive, and it's best to tape up and mask off anywhere you think you might have some overspray, because this stuff can damage paint and plastics.
So what I'm going to do then, I've lifted up the first two sections. I'm gonna go ahead and spray here, let it tack up as per directions, and then I'm gonna put this stuff down. I'm doing it in two sections, this, and then I'll do the sides. So it looks like I've got some gunk on here. Hopefully get that off. Okay. And you also have to spray the material side as well. So I'm just going to wait for this to tack up for a few minutes, and I'll just enjoy some of my tea here. Okay, so now that we've got everything glued down, now we're just going to take our rubber seal from before, and we're just going to lay it in here. And then we're going to take our metal brackets here. And then we're going to take our 8mm nuts here from before. The ones that we saved that we didn't just throw away. That's a little inside joke, but it is important to save these little things. So we've put the center bracket on. However, we have not put these side brackets on yet, because there is actually one more hole that needs to be put here, and it's actually better that we went ahead and glued this on first. Helps us to locate that hole. So we kind of have to push down here and then fold this over to locate it, and then we can create our hole for that. We're trying to locate that hole right there, the hole for that. So we have to bring this stitch all the way there, hold it there, fold this over, and then find the hole and create the hole for that, and also do that for the other side. So it's a little different. This last one's just a little different from this, but I think the best way to go ahead and glue this one down so it's pretty much holding in place, and then take care of this last one. And so there we have it, about like that. So now we'll go ahead and put some glue on it right here. And we'll cut around this area right here. Probably gonna cut this a little more right here. And we'll cut it here. Okay, so now we've got that on there all the way around. Look how nice that is. Okay, go set it on the car just to see how things are going. There we go. Any hooks right there. Right there. That's good. So, although we don't have the rest of the top on yet, we do see now how nice that's gonna fit on there and lay down. So at this point, now we have the, we're gonna move on from this part. We need to, more or less, we need to get this tensioned right. If you look here, you can see the gap here is smaller than here. This top is not being held back as it normally is by this thing here. And that's what we're gonna have to set. If you can see here, it won't even close. It's the whole top, this portion is just sitting too far that way. And just part of the top design is to have this rear section pull, always pulling on this. So what I'm gonna have to do, I've got it on a lift right now. What I wanna do is lower it, take it off of the lift. And that is going to help also because there's body flex for the convertible car. Doors don't really even want to close good. So I want to do that. I want to lower it, get it flat on the floor, sitting like it normally does. And then that way we can sort of tension the top mechanism and get it to the right position. Now you can see now I've got the car lowered now, but look at that. It's even closer now, so the body had significant flex when it was lifted up. So here we're looking at the old top. This is the back of it, and this is about the middle where the roll bar is. And we have this piece right here. This fastens to the uppermost roll bar part of it right there. And this is what keeps it tight, keeps the top in the proper form. And when that's on here, then this top will be connected to this, and it will pull this top to the proper orientation. This one here is made out of a springy sort of material. And this piece here is vinyl. Okay, so the next thing I'm doing here is I've got this this portion here unzipped. Now this has a 2-ply here. You've got the top piece and bottom piece, right? And the top piece is what's going to come here. It's going to go up and then turn under and then get fastened to this with a bracket. So what I'm trying to do, well, what I've done here is I've determined with a little, just put a little piece of paint right there. I've measured and I've determined the center of this. And that way I can align that with well, the center hole right there. Okay, so I've just basically got it temporarily in place. Now, one thing to note is that this piece cannot continue to keep going down in here. You have to kind of make it stop right there where it starts to turn, or else this piece will not be able to come around this way, which it will need to do. So I've got the rear on here to basically illustrate how this goes on. But there's one other item that we need to do before we can put it on like this. The main part of the top actually comes here, and then just like this one, it turns down in here, and so both of these are sandwiched together and then held by this clamping bar here. So I'm going to have to put now the main part of the top on, and I'm actually going to glue that part on here, and then I will reassemble what I've done here. And this is the flap that I'm talking about here. This will all go in there. Okay, so let's just grab our top now. And just set it up there. And again, we're looking for this little flap right here. That's the little flap we're going to glue right there to start with. Okay, so I've got the top now and I've centered it. I have spent some time here to get it perfectly centered between the two. I've used, there's some little ledges there under there that you can sort of use to help you align it to these. But they've also put a little notch in here, which is helpful. I don't know if you can see that, but that helps find the center of the fabric. And so now we're just going to put some glue on it. Just glue this one little flap right here. So just this little bit here is going to get on, and then this is the bit that sort of hangs over the back of the window, giving it that real German look, you know. Okay, so I've just put some adhesive here and on the corresponding piece there, and I'll let that tack up. I'm just doing half right now, and then I'll bond that half, and then I'll repeat the process for the other side. Okay, now I am in the inside of the car, and I'm going to spray some adhesive right here, and then we're going to flip this around right like that. So now we're just folding this up here now. And then we're going to use whatever clamps we have available. Just hold it in place for the time being. Okay, so what I've done now is I've raised the top up and I've folded the material back here. So what we're looking at now is the underside of the top. And I'm going to be putting in the these little cables that go in here now. Here's the old top and here's the old cables that go in there. And there it is installed. So this is one thing to look for. Kind of hard to find these, but they are there, or should be there. And it's a good thing that they are there, these little holes, because these holes are not exactly in the same position as the old top. So I'd rather trust the manufacturer of the top to tell me where those are supposed to be than the last guy who did it. So I just work it through by pushing on that end, and then towards the end I need a little help, so I get a little hook and I grab it the rest of the way. Okay, so now the next step is I'm going to work on these right here. These are little sleeves that go over the top right here, and they curve under here, and then the window seal goes right here. They're kind of independent from the top. They do have a little very thin foam layer underneath it there. So the top that I have, it comes with a piece of material, and I'm going to use these two as a pattern, and I'm going to cut out a new version of these from this material. As you can see, the material has a cross pattern on one side and sort of this looking pattern, which matches that perfectly right there. So that is what we'll use, and we'll probably try and see if we can transfer this foam. If not, we might have to get some new foam to put on there. So I'm just taking out the foam from the inside of this thing, which thankfully is coming out rather easily, not too difficult. Okay, so we got a little piece of foam put back on now. Now this right here, this piece is the original headliner, if you will, and it was glued here and here on the top, so that means that would have been glued right there and right here, and it just covered this little area. So from the bottom you would just see that headliner material, which is this sort of cross pattern here. Now the original top, I've got it here, without the headliner you would see this more of a denim look to it. The new top, however, at least from this manufacturer, has this cross pattern already built into the underside. And I suspect that means that we just don't really even need to put a headliner in there, because it's going to look effectively the same as before. And furthermore, this kit did not come with a headliner, so we're going to forego installing a headliner. Okay, so we are now going to work on getting our little springs there attached to our little cables. So we're gonna go and put the top back here. So I'm taking 11 millimeter and I'm loosening this spring there, and then I'm going to fish this thing out and just kind of pull it down a little bit so it sits just like that. And then I'm going to fish this guy into there again, and I'm going to reattach him to this cable right here. So this is how I've done it. I've gotten this spring out by removing this 11 millimeter, and I've reattached it down here. So now I can just easily push this back in and then put this back on right there. And there it is, reattached. And now I'll go do the other side. So I am just barely tightening these for the moment. And we also have to make sure that we didn't lose our little hook here. Okay, so now we're going to turn our attention to fitting the front of this top there. We've been given, again, by the top manufacturer, a little indication of where the center is of this top. I have measured and I've determined the center right there. So then the question is, how tight do we need to make it? Fortunately, they've given us an indication right here where it's double, and they want us to flip this over right here, and that helps a lot. So we don't have to guess how tight we want to go. We know exactly where we want to put it. So now it's just a matter of centering it and then flipping it over, and then what we'll do is we'll glue it to that edge right there. We will not put any glue up here, but I think we're going to mostly just put the glue here. Okay, so I have centered the top there, and important, you might want to put a mark on the bottom side. It comes in handy. So the top is centered with that mark. It is stretched out both this way and this way, and I have I've glued these two flaps down so that this is more or less how it is on there. I put a clamp on each side just to hold it for the time being. And the next I'm going to fold this down in here and glue it. I'm going to need more glue. I don't have any glue there. And once I do that, then I will fold this portion down. Actually, I'm going to pull this up just a little bit to get it on the line of the material there. Okay, so there you have it. I've got it adjusted. I've pulled this up so I can just barely see the start of that second layer on both sides. So we got it up far enough up, and I had to reset these. So we might need a little more glue, but we're getting there. And I'm doing this by standing inside the car which is okay because one of the seat is gone. Okay, so I've reapplied some adhesive along here, and then I'm going to wait for that to tack up, and then I'm going to fold it over and clamp it right here. Okay. Okay, let's let our top sit like so for the time being. And notice I did not put any adhesion on this portion. I think it's right not to, because that way the top just sits more naturally, doesn't get held down or clumped in areas and so on. And now we're just going to cut around these little holes here. Okay, and so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some glue here and then clamp this down like so, and probably trim this little bit off right here. Okay, at this point I would install these end caps. This one is broken and this is not the proper screw here. So, and I'm missing the other one for the other side. So I'm gonna have to order these. But there should be a nice little end cap right here. Okay, so now we're letting the top rest like so, and now we're going to draw our attention back to this roll bar area here. And what we need to do, we have this flange here, and we need to locate these where the holes are and basically punch through with an X-Acto or some sort of instrument so we can make holes there again. We're going to need those holes, so we're going to have to do that for each one of these. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to take this piece here and take the outermost piece. Remember where we marked it right there. We're going to stab that into this one screw. I put one screw in there already. So it's going to go in there like that. And then we're going to put this bracket on there to sandwich it in there. Okay, so now we've got this thing set up here with our one screw holding this thing in, and it kind of looks ridiculous, but what we're going to do now is we're going to spin this like a propeller and get it in the right position. So you see now, there it is, it's in the right position, and now we're just going to work this into there, right there. So it helps if you put a little box under there. That way the roof is sticking up a little and it's not pulling down on you while you're trying to work here. So I put one more screw in on the far end of the opposite side from where I'm going to start working. And that's just to keep the bracket from spinning around. Okay, so now we're going to be installing this front plate here. We've got the two piloting pegs put on, and then got a assortment of screws here that will need to go on these different areas here. So it has long screws and short screws. The long screws go here on this portion, and the short screws go up there. And you need to use like a little punch to make the hole first, and then get them in. Okay, so with that, now we have our front cap fully installed, and that's how that looks. So we see we have the material folding up underneath it, and that's it. Okay, so now we're going to slowly bring the top down here, and you can see here the top overshoots quite a bit. The reason for that is because we do not yet have the proper tension here in our rear to be pulling this portion of the top away to get that proper geometry. That is going to come about when we properly tension this window here, and that will do the pulling back of this roll bar, and then we will then have the proper fit here. What I'm going to do for right now is I am going to push it back, and I'm going to latch the top right here in position. Okay, so now we have it properly latched, and that's basically how the top sits on there now. And we have it latched in there with the two locking handles. Okay, so now that we've got our top latched here, now what we're going to do is we have to basically tension this rear window. I have this, the rear piece, it's installed. I don't have it screwed down yet, but it's going to pull against here when I start increasing the tension here. This is going to be an iterative process, and obviously just having it in there why 1 inch is not enough. You can see not only by the looks of it, but the top is not pulling at all on this piece, making it difficult to latch it here. So we're going to go in there. I've only got it in there with a few screws right now, but we're going to go in there and we're going to undo some of those, and then we're going to pull down the material and just try to get it nice and tight. And that's how it looks after we've pulled it about another inch. But I'm not happy with that, so we're going to pull it some more. Now one can continue to use these little pinholes and screws to find the proper tension, but I found it a lot easier to just use some clamps. And you'll need some clamps with some pretty good clamping power, like vice grips, because we're starting to get it, really tight there. And while I've got my array of clamping devices here, I still have one screw holding it on over there and one screw holding it on over there. Those are not penetrating the material at this point. Just having it clamped about like so, with a decent amount of tension on it, I'm able to pop this here now, and notice now the top does not overhang so much anymore. So we can definitely feel that there is a tension that the top is starting to develop. So looking at this little peculiar region here, we have it where we kind of want to put this material in there, but then the problem is this piece sits there funny, right? So this is really the way it's kind of supposed to go, and that's how the old top was. And what that's going to do is it's going to look a lot smoother here, especially on the inside. It's going to look a lot more natural. But what we're going to also be able to do now, you might think that, well, we're not able to get the clamping force here, but that's okay, because we're going to be pulling this tight here and then glue it down. So we'll get a lot of tensioning from this side piece as well. Okay, so I've tensioned it one more time, as you can see there, and I feel pretty good about it now. You see that? It's a pretty good level of pull there. There is some unevenness, but that's just this top. I mean, this window is it needs a good baking in the sun to get it to look good again. But our zipper here is completely concealed by the flap, which is good, right? Okay, so before I go too much further, I'm going to now screw down my rear clamp there. I've got those two 10 millimeters that need to go right there, and then the Allens that go in the back there. I'm going to go ahead and put that down. And for whatever reason, this reminds me of like when you hang meat to dry. Okay, I know I said Allen, but these are actually T30 Torx. And we've got 10 millimeters out here that you can get to if you got a little. Okay, so now we have our back piece here clamped on the inside. It is not yet screwed down or glued down there. What we're going to do now is we're going to set this piece here, okay? And what we're going to want to do, we're going to try to get rid of this little wrinkle here as much as possible. So we're going to be pulling this very tight here as we set it. So we're going to have to put some glue here and here, and then really pull it and set it in place. Applied a little glue on this little bit here, which is part of this piece, and I'm just going to stretch that and fasten that down. So what I'm doing now is I'm not real content with the window situation, so I'm going to continue to stretch this way. And what we're shooting for, this is the big stretch, what we're shooting for is so that this is completely concealed by this here. So you can see we've just got a little ways to go, but it sure takes a lot of pulling to get that. So we're just going to basically walk it. We're going to keep pulling each one of those off one by one and stretching just a little bit, and just keep working it. Okay, so I've just pulled it and stretched it all a little bit more. As you can see on this side, we've pretty much got it. We've got it going there good. But when we come over to here, then we start to see this part again. And so we're gonna need to stretch, just concentrate on this side for now. And now that we've pretty much got the window in the back where we want it, pulled up enough, we can now open the top slightly, and that relaxes all the tension here. And now we'll be able to just pull it just a little bit more, and then we'll be able to put our screws in without having to fight the tension at the same time. Okay, so I've got my first, hopefully permanent screw in place there, and then I went ahead and pulled everything down just a little more, clamped it all again, and now I'm going to put the top back down and see how I like everything. Okay, so I've got the top down, and I'm checking my coverage here. It looks good. And so now I'm going to continue, and I'm going to put 2 more screws in. And what I'm also doing at the same time is I'm going to try to pull the material this way a little bit as well. Try to get rid of a little bit of this slack here. And I will probably have to reset these once I'm done with all that, which is no big deal. Now when you're finding these holes, you want to use something, well, you want to be careful not to puncture the other side of this material here. It helps to have something that has a downward angle to it, but even that may not prevent. So you kind of really have to be careful. Keep your fingers back here, kind of feel for what you're doing. Okay, so I've added 2 more screws, making what, a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them. And so now I've only got 2 clamps on it. Now we're going to test our alignment back there again. And I'm going to be pulling this off now, and I'm going to reset it, trying to get rid of this little crinkle here. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to put some adhesive down, and then I'm going to pull this like crazy. And as I do that, I can get some of these wrinkles out of the window there. I can't get them all out, but I'm going to do what I can here. And to help me with that, I'm going to be setting this piece here while this top is just a little relaxed. So another thing that's been occurring is that this thing here, this lip here, has been pulling up as I do this process. It's still pretty much in place, but it does seem that the tension is having some effect there. I may, if I can't get it to just sort of sit down on its own, I may end up removing the big bracket there and retucking this and reclamping it in there. As I look now at the original top, I'm noticing something here. The window on this top is a little different from that one, whereas this window comes almost all the way down to the side there, whereas this one has a considerable piece of rise to it there.
And as we can see in this example here, the top is actually supposed to have more of that material right there by the window section.
So next we're going to attempt to glue this bit here. We're going to pull hard, and we're going to try to get it to stick onto this little bit piece of metal there. And that will help us just get a little bit of this straightened out again. Same thing over here. We are going to attach this flap to this metal over here, There's not a whole lot of contact area, but we're going to pull it. Okay, so here's the state of our window at this point. We've still got some creases here. I'd say we got a crease here and a crease here. And now what I'm doing is these ends where I don't have my my screws in yet, I'm going to see if I can get a little more tension and try to get a little more of this slack out of that windshield, that window. Okay, so we have this side completely locked down now, and this is where we're at with it. So obviously there's still some wrinkles there, but it's pretty firm there, and I think a little sunlight should make that all sort of look a whole lot better. So I've got a little box there to keep my top open. I find that works pretty good.
So here I'm actually redoing what I did before. I wanted to improve it a little bit, so I basically peeled it off on the sides, and then I did the pull again on it.
So I find pulling down seems to get some of the wrinkles out better. And so I was pulling there with a lot of strength there. The car starts actually moving a little bit when I do that. And I'm going to let it dry just a little bit before I put the top down to see. Okay, now I'm going to take a break from fighting with the rear window and work on attaching the seals for the windows. Next, what I'm doing is making sure that this little rubber seal goes on this channel like it's supposed to. I had to loosen up this 10 millimeter and to stick the thing into place. Okay, after I more or less got that rubber in place, now I've gotten these. Okay, we have these tensioners, right? And they're kind of strange devices, but I went ahead and these little teeth, I went ahead and pulled them so they straight out, so that way when I do hook the material on there, then I can bend them again. And then I'm going to basically put these in place. You might have to adjust this a little bit. And then we're going to put our single bolt right there to just get that in place. Not really going to tighten it down yet. Now I've pulled down my two flaps here, and these I'm now going to feed into the tensioner. Okay, so using a piece from the old top as a template, I locate first this hole right here, and I put a screw in there. And then I just lay this here, and what I'm doing here is I'm trying to locate this hole, which is a little hard to find under this thing here. But using the template, it's pretty easy and I'm able to find it. Finally, with the hammer and with a flat blade screwdriver, I've basically penetrated the little tensioners right here. And now finally I'm just going to put a little glue here and put that flap up like so. Okay, now we have these little plastic corner pieces here. And these only can really go one place, and that's right here, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and punch a hole right there so we at least know where these are going to go. And then what appears to happen, if you look here, there's several holes there. And that appears to be what happened is that as the people put different tops on this thing over the years, wherever this thing landed is where you put the hole. Now, it would be nice if this lands exactly on where the factory hole is. I don't know if that is going to be the case because it seems like there's just too many variables going on here that you would automatically land in that factory hole. I'll see if one of those holes lines up, but not holding my breath. Okay, so now I am preparing to glue this piece onto here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to trim off some of this material here because I want to give this some metal to fasten onto. So I'm going to give it a little more area here. So I'm going to trim this back. And then we just trim off our excess right there. And now with installing the other screws on the other side, I can say that we now have this top substantially complete. And only a few little things to do. I put these little seals on here. But other than that, she is finished. Fertig. Okay, now we're just going to be finding the holes here, and we're going to punch through so we can mount our little rubber seals that go here, and these are all held in place by a little 8mm. And so there we have it installed, and we've closed our top on it. Sure does compress right here a lot when you do that, but it closes, and that's all that matters. And now we're going to basically trim off the excess from the piece that is sandwiched in between here. And finally, we are going to attach our bottom side of the roll bar cover, which is this thing, which is foam and vinyl, and then these little guys that go on the side that cover over the little tensioners.
Okay, this is a little update to our top install. So the owner has had the car here for a while. He's been driving it and everything. So one thing to notice is that the window in the back, the wrinkles are just about completely gone. The sun has taken care of that for us. We do have a little bit of a blemish there. I don't know what happened. Something happened when he closed the top, but overall it looks good. I am going to address this again. It seems that this little mini ducktail has appeared again, but just on one corner of the top there. And as you look here, you can see the stitching here, and then the stitching goes away. So something here happened. I don't know what, but what I'm going to attempt to do is unbolt the clamp and then try to pull that material in there tight again. Okay, so I've got the clamp unclamped and put up this way, and now I've got all kinds of big old comforters here and covers because I don't want this thing damaging the paint. And so what we're going to attempt to do then is loosen these here and pull this material down this way. So try to get rid of our friend the ducktail here, the mini ducktail, and hopefully we can improve that a bit here. And we've got these metal clamps removed from back here, so you can see what's going on here is this. It's got that little twist there. I'm going to be pulling this fabric down and rebonding it and then reclamping it, and hopefully it will stay this time. Okay, so I went ahead and loosened all of the material again here, all the way from here all the way to the center. I'm going to do one side at a time, and I've notched these little holes a little bit larger in this direction. And what I'm wanting to do is then now just going to be gluing it and bonding it and pulling everything. And so we'll be pulling everything. What I'm going to try to do is pull everything much more down, like so it sits like that. So even if this sits against the body, I'd rather have that than it sticking up like that. So we're gonna just glue it and bond it and pull everything down. Okay, as you can see here, I have rebonded this material on this side, pulled it over as best I can, really, and I've clamped it in the meantime before I put the clamps back on. Now I'm gonna go do the other side, which really didn't have too much of a problem, but I want to make sure it all looks kind of consistent across. I was just installing these, and then I realized I'd completely forgotten about the seal that goes underneath them. Have to take them all off again and put it back on. Okay, everything's been reattached, this time with the seal. So I'm just gonna tighten all these up here.
Okay, now that we've expelled fossil fuels to make short time of tightening all those, I'm going to go and hand tighten each one of them just to make sure that we have the proper amount of torque on each one. And now what's going to happen is I'm going to fold this back down carefully, try not to scratch here. And then if you look, what has to happen, these little brackets here, they have to go in there. So we're going to have to fold it down, pull back on it so it can slide into the position. Okay, that wasn't too bad. Seemed to be able to get it on there. Wow. How does it look? Now that big rise is gone. You know, apart from maybe a couple spots here and there, I really think that issue has been eliminated. Okay, well, that took a little more time than I'd wanted to, but I'm happy to report that the mini ducktail is no more. I miss the little guy, don't you? He's gone. And what's really cool is you can open this and it doesn't interfere. Awesome. So yes, sir. And that's a wrap.
And thanks for watching. Please, if you found this information useful, please give us a like and subscribe. And until next time, tschüss.